Hello everybody and welcome to the video. Now let's just get to it. Today I'll be letting you know what some of the best obscure manga you are most likely sleeping on. Now, I know you probably think you're a connoisseur of manga and anime, but I promise there's always that one series you have never heard of. Anyway, let's get to it. First off, we have a very interesting manga called Fantasy Bishojo Juningu Oji-san, which might sound kind of weird to you, but it basically translates to Fantasy Pretty Girl Uncle, which doesn't exactly make the most sense, but sometimes you just have to go with it. Now let's get at least a little bit into the story. So imagine you're just like an average dude, like any other Isekai main character, and you're just working your corporate job and you just got off work. So you decide to go to the bar with your childhood best friend, who's a dude for once, because you know, they normally are women. Well, at least for now. So as the two of them finish drinking and complaining, no, that's not really true. More like one of them, Tachibana Hinata, was complaining how he can never get a girl. Well, Junuji Tsukasa is what you would call a handsome man who had the ladies crawling all over him. But he didn't want anything to do with them because he didn't want to deal with their problems. And to be honest, dealing with women is a lot of problems. But let's not get stuck on that. So when both of them walk out, Tachibana falls over onto the floor like the nerdy guy he is, while describing his favorite type of woman, a small blonde-haired Lolita girl, which I don't know, man, sounds kind of like what a guy like Joe Biden would say. I don't know, like the kind of girl he likes to rub his legs, which I don't know if I'm really okay with. Okay, anyway, after having been on the floor for a good minute, the rabbit god of love and beauty appears and asks him if he is still alive, and when Tsunuji said no, she literally just beamed their heads through with her laser hands. Then after them waking up, let's just say Tachibana changed a little bit, and by changed, I mean into a supposed dream girl, a short blonde lolly. But that wasn't all that happened, because of course, no manga is ever that simple. So you know what the bunny god does? She curses Tachibana to be extremely attracted to all who see him. No, her, never mind. Basically, it makes all who see her very infatuated, even Junuji. So imagine a world where your best friend is suddenly transformed into a super cute girl that you are attracted to. Just imagine all the troublesome things that would happen. And I can promise you, things most definitely do get troublesome for the two of them as they adventure to defeat the demon king, but of course it's always the demon king. Hey, at least Junuji finally found some kind of love because, hey, if you don't want to deal with women, I guess you just need to turn one of your bros into one. But don't be fooled by the weird but basic concept. It is definitely a very interesting manga. Not most people are talking about. Now on to the rest of the list. Well, this one isn't even the most interesting, I can promise you that. Now on to the next one. Kumo desu ga nanika, which means, I'm a spider, so what? Okay, so I'm guessing you don't like spiders, am I right? Well, imagine you actually just became one. And not some OP spider either. Because this isn't that type of power fantasy. This is one that follows the lowest of the low of spiders, who just so happens to have the soul of a high school girl inside of it. But don't worry, this isn't Isekai after all, so the MC can, with effort and skillful fighting, level up and evolve into higher level spider species as the story progresses. But it wouldn't exactly be the most fun manga if all she did was fight giant wasps and snakes. Not to knock those though, because I honestly wouldn't want to deal with either of those. But because since it is a fantasy setting after all, later on we definitely get to see some interesting monsters and even humans that are fought, which leads to a lot of moral and psychological conversations, which makes the story of our little spider girl all the more interesting. Because Isekai can be so much more than just brain dead garbage we just consume because it exists. Now before anyone says that the MC had to eat little garbage and poison, it wasn't our choice, okay? Because come on, you shouldn't eat garbage just because it's there. Now on to something a little more generic, but still just as fun before I get into the really weird stuff. Marumahito Iruma-kun. Welcome to the Demon School, Iruma-kun. So as you can see by the name on the screen, the main setting is on the demon world. More specifically, the top demon school, Babylos. So for this one, the main character is one of the best boys, Iruma, who's just an average kid whose parents didn't love him and sold him to a demon. Wait, so maybe not the best parents, but hey, this time he was actually better off, because after he was sold the demon, unlike what you'd probably think, only wanted him to be his grandchild. So after Iruma accepts his weird proposal, we are properly introduced to Sullivan, Iruma's new grandpa, who like any good grandpa would try to give his grandson a head start at his grandchild's new school, giving him a special spell which got the whole school's attention making Iruma's dream of going unnoticed impossible. But through that, he got to know some of his new friends who help him through his adventures, like any good side characters would do. But unlike some series, this manga really explores its side characters, especially later on. But I've currently caught up to every English chapter that's been released so far. This manga is honestly one that I have the most hope for getting mainstream attention, because there's already one season of the anime release. And I have hope that the second season will propel this series into something the mainstream community can recognize as quality. Now, let's get on to some weird stuff, because everyone knows that there has to be at least a couple weird Isekai manga that people are missing out on. No, oh my goodness, I couldn't even try to say all that. Okay, I'm only gonna say the English title this time. I became the mother of the strongest demon lord's 10 children in another world. Okay. I know that just sounds like some weird hentai stuff, but I promise you, it's a fun and at least mildly family-friendly manga. So just imagine you're like a 6-year-old girl who's dreaming of having a family someday. But instead of having kids that someday, you're suddenly summoned by the demon lord to bear his children. Pretty wild, am I right? I'm sure most of you know how children are made, at least by now, but this manga does childbirth really different, which keeps the series family-friendly and fun to read, because it shows how the children grow up and how they interact in a world where the demon kind are at war with the humans. But don't worry, it doesn't focus much on the gore, and instead focuses on the way the damage and the war can be lessened, and the happiness and hijinks the family gets up to. And, oh shoot, I almost forgot to mention this. But the way it does childbirth is also really interesting, because it ranges from drinking a pregnancy potion to having a dress that makes the user pregnant. Pretty wild, am I right? So boom. Now on to a little teaser for my next video, where I'm doing a full review on what is out so far in the Slave of the Hell Soldiers manga, which is the real banger, which one should absolutely love, because it puts them in a position of power, with men having to basically be their dogs. But don't worry, it doesn't have a lot of that feminist stuff in it, so it's a lot of fun. Oh, and also, remember to check out my Twitch. It's @JamieBoy. And I hope to see you there. Anyway, bye.